There we go. Welcome everybody. This is the DVMUG Zoom meeting, Tuesday, August 12th, 2025. I actually don't have any news. We have some videos and a couple of them are short from Apple, interspersed with some from Gary. And we'll move forward to the first video. Well, here's the list of the videos. So we got a medium, a short, a medium, a short, a medium, and then we don't get to the end, that's fine too. This was a brand new one from yesterday, so I thought that was interesting. We don't get to it, that's fine too. For some reason, you don't see me, you see Mike. I don't understand why, but we'll go for it. So this is, you always hear about these password leaks. Everybody's password's been leaked in billions and billions of them. What should you do about that? Here we go.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Did you just see an article about a huge leak of billions of passwords? Don't panic. I'll tell you what to do. So let's say you just saw an article about a huge number of passwords that have just been leaked. And you think, wait a minute, I use passwords. Maybe I'm in some sort of danger here. What should I do? Well, the first thing is, don't panic. You actually see articles like this all the time. You may miss most of them, but sites are constantly publishing articles because they make for great clickbait. In fact, a lot of the articles you see are basically updates month after month of the same password leak. And those leaks themselves aren't actually new leaks. They're just discovered databases of passwords online. The passwords themselves may have actually been leaked years and years ago, and they just keep accumulating. That's why these leaks seem to get bigger and bigger. They include the old passwords as well as maybe some new ones that they found. And sometimes the articles are really vague because it's not just passwords. It's IDs, other personal information, things like that. So they'll show a really big number, but maybe only some of that is passwords. And some may not actually even be passwords, but hashes, which are ways to identify if a password is correct. A leak of a hash really isn't that dangerous. It's the password itself that's the problem. But articles tend to be very vague about this kind of thing. They want you to feel scared. They want you to read the article every time. So the main thing you need to do is don't panic. Just because you see an article like this today doesn't mean you're suddenly in some sort of danger. Here's what you should do. First thing is, you should be using a password manager. If you're not using a password manager by now, you're really behind on security. Password managers do three main things to protect you here. One is they generate strong passwords when you create a new account or change your password at an existing account. It's important to have strong passwords. If you think of the password yourself, it's a weak password, especially if it includes like a name, a date, anything like that. That's easily guessed by an algorithm. A strong password is one that's just a random string of letters and numbers. Next, it allows you to enter the password in easily by inserting it for you. This is important because without that, if you had to type the password yourself, you're going to tend to fall back on shorter, weaker passwords that are easy to remember. It's important that the password manager help you enter your password because that is what allows you to use these strong, unique passwords. And the third thing it does is protect you from phishing attacks. When you are sent to a site that's not the real site, instead of entering in the password to a site that's not the real one, a password manager is simply going to not know what the password is for that site because it's the wrong site. That's a very important aspect of what password managers do. So you should be using a password manager by now. Now, as an Apple user, you're lucky you've got a built-in password manager on all your devices. The Passwords app from Apple provides all the security you need. You certainly can use a third-party password manager if you like, but at least use the Apple Password Manager. Okay, so you're using a password manager and you've heard about one of these security breaches. How can you check to see if your passwords are affected? Well, any good password manager, including Apple's Passwords app, has a section for this. In the Passwords Manager, you go to the security section, and here you can see that it lists any passwords that are compromised. You see, any of these leaked passwords end up in a security database which a password manager will match to. So it can identify if your password is one of the ones that has been compromised. And this is where you'll find that. If you see one listed here that shows that it's compromised, you know you've got to change that password as soon as possible. You'll also find other warnings here, like if a password's been reused. It's very important that you only use a password at one site. Don't reuse it on other sites. Sometimes you do get a false positive here. Like for instance, Google has many different websites where you could log in using your Google account. But in other cases, you should not be using the same password at unrelated websites that have different accounts. And also it's going to show any weak passwords here. So passwords that you made years ago and they're not strong passwords randomly generated by your password manager, they'll show here. And you can take this opportunity to update those passwords to something stronger. If you find these videos valuable, consider joining the more than 2,000 others that support MacMost at Patreon. You get exclusive content, course discounts, and more. You can read about it at macmost.com/Patreon. The other thing you should do is identify any sites that are very important. Things like banks, email accounts, social media, anything that you use on a regular basis. Those should all be using two-factor authentication, where you use a security code generated by an app or by your password manager, or maybe received over text. Always use two-factor authentication when it's available. This means that if somebody does have your password, they still can't get into your account. They need that second factor there, that code, to get in. So once you've got all that squared away, all the security alerts taken care of, you're using two-factor at all of the important sites, the other thing you need to worry about is social engineering. Basically phishing attacks. This is when you get an email, a text message, or a phone call from somebody who's trying to scam you. So you want to pay really careful attention to these. Make sure you don't give out any information. If somebody says they're sending you a code and they need you to send them back that code, that's a phishing attack. They're actually trying to trigger your two-factor authentication and then getting you to tell them the code. So one last thing I want to address is, what if a site or service isn't listed as a security problem in your password manager? Should you still change the password when you see one of these scary articles? Well, if the password breach does involve a particular site or service and you have an account there, then you want to go to that particular site or service and see what they advise. If it's a true serious threat, then they'll probably be telling people, oh, everybody should update their passwords. And then you do that. Otherwise, whether you update the passwords, it's up to you. If it makes you feel better, you can. But most of us have way too many accounts to be changing our passwords every time we see a scary article. Remember, if you've changed the password recently for a site and then there's a new leak, chances are they have your old password, not the new one. And hopefully you're protected by two-factor authentication anyway. So it's not always necessary to constantly be changing your passwords every month or so. But it probably is a good idea to, every once in a while, perhaps every month or so, check your security section of your password manager, even if you haven't seen a scary article, just to see if there are any new compromised passwords listed. So to summarize, don't panic, check the security section of your password manager, and stay informed. Thanks for watching.
Okay, that's really good information. I agree with everything he said. I don't know why you guys can't see me. I don't understand. The camera's not on or something?
I
Comments?
see you
I see you.
I
perfectly.
can see you.
Okay, I don't see me, but okay, that's fine. You see me.
The
That's
rest
fine.
of us do.
You're in the
Alright.
gallery.
Yeah, okay.
What, you don't like being in the gallery with us?
No, I just usually see myself. But anyway, go ahead. Comments, questions? This is basic information that's all true and it's universal. You should do all those things. And if you the password manager, including the one Apple has now, does a very good job. It tells you that's easily guessed passwords, ones that have been compromised, meaning they've been stolen, they're out there on the web, they've been reused, and you only need to do them on the important sites like Amazon and your bank and your email. Your email password is probably the most important. Don't ever use that same password, because the trick is they'll go to a site I'll say forgot password, and they'll email you a reset link to your email. Well, if they have your email password and they can log in, they can reset all your passwords and lock you out. So that's
Well,
important.
well, recently Proton, where I have a mail account, uh, has made me switch over to using their authenticator app, and it's working quite well.
Jan's got a question. You're muted, Jan.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's I didn't like the advice that if you think of it yourself, it's not a good password. I can't type those fancy things, and it doesn't always go in automatically.
Well, I don't have it generate passwords, but I have a scheme that seems to work.
Oh,
Use a
good.
good password that you remember. That's, maybe not that long that you can type every time. And then on each side, at each site, put the @ sign and then the name of the site. So my good
Mhm.
password at capital, I usually use first letter capital Amazon or capital Netflix. And sometimes they'll require you that the @ sign gives you the special character, which a lot of times. And usually you want a letter and a number and a capital. So get your letter and number standard in the first part, and then @ and capital at the end, and that works for me.
Well, I think it's good advice. I just don't think it should be carved in stone for like Jan. I mean, most of my banking ones are like 12 to 15 characters long. I could
Right, but
never do that.
if your password manager doesn't enter it for some reason, you got no hope of trying to type
Yeah,
it
I
in
used
or
to I used to
remember.
do screenshots of them just in case. But
Well,
You don't have to type a long password because
Right.
password manager can always copy it and then paste it.
exactly, exactly.
I just wish the Apple Password Manager had a comment field.
It does.
The thing I still don't like
It does,
about
Bill.
Apple,
The new version on the new versions it has a
Oh,
notes field.
the thing I still don't like about the Apple Password Manager is that you don't have a strong master password. It's because I don't know about you, but I have an easily typed device password, passcode, so I can easily get into, unlock my device. Um, and I don't think that's good enough for a password manager. Um,
But if you have if you have a Mac with a fingerprint reader, then you
which
can
I
have as
don't.
strong a password as you want. You got to put it somewhere so you don't forget it, and you use your fingerprint to unlock your passwords.
Yeah, until your fingerprint wears out and you have to do it again.
Yeah,
well,
well, it's not the
and
worst
Whatever.
thing.
You'll find
then
out when you get to be old, John.
Or worse, when you have peanut butter on your finger and you stick it on there, and now you
Well, you just have your dog lick it off then.
yeah, well,
Go
he
ahead,
didn't do the
Jan.
whole thing.
then
I'll
you
ju-
have sites like the Contra Costa County Library System that wants 6 numbers, and they initially have it being your birth date,
Yeah, but
but
then
Yes.
you can go change. They did that. They
you
switched
can you
over.
can change it, but you still can only use digits and have no more than 6 of them.
Go
Jan,
ahead, Jan.
Yeah, what are
I
they going to
got
go in and check out books in your name? Or something? That's not a problem. That's not a security place. That's not an issue
They
for
should
me.
fix it anyway.
They
I
should.
know.
Go ahead, Jan.
I got to tell you the stupid thing I did, something not to do. I was using ChatGPT last night and just left it there and put the computer to sleep, closed it up, went to bed, got up this morning, and I opened the computer with my usual password, which I've had for 30 years and I know very well, and I'm very happy with it. And so ChatGPT is asking me, what was that you just typed? Is that, you know, I don't recognize it. It ate up my password. It was still awake. It took in my password. So then I have to change the password that I've had for so long. Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't do to have ChatGPT knowing my password. Well, it didn't know what it was, but so I said it was part of a poem or something.
So here's a question. If they took your password and they said it was part of a poem, I'd like to hear the poem.
No, it wasn't poetic.
Oh, I
It
mean,
had
was
a
it,
number and things in it, but
I thought maybe a limerick we could all enjoy.
but oh God, that was stupid. But I didn't know that ChatGPT was going to stay awake and alive in the morning when I turned on the
Oh,
computer
gosh,
again.
that
Quit
is-
all your apps.
I
So,
mean,
so I noticed that that most websites now are pushing pretty hard on passkeys. They really want you to switch to passkeys.
yeah, I probably should do that.
Now, what about hide my email?
Well, I'm not a big fan of that. What if you use an email and you go somewhere and register? Then you can always, they say if you don't get spam, you can delete it. But then what if they need to contact you? There's no email anymore. 'Cause I don't get that.
I'm finding sites do it to me automatically at times.
Do what? Trying to send your emails after you deleted the.
No, set up a new account password under hide my email. When I look in the password app, I see a list of these and I don't remember ever saying to use that.
Yeah.
So the sites aren't doing that. Apple is doing that, right?
Yep.
This is weird. I goofed up my Zoom. I lost my keynote.
So yeah, we got plenty to talk about.
Yep.
There we go.
There you go.
But now I lost the speakers.
We can hear
This
you.
is weird. This Zoom is doing something weird to me. View, and I lose the speaker on the side. Speaker.
I think you pissed off the Zoom god.
Okay, Tim. Now go back, see if I get there's the keynote. Play. Full screens. You see the screen, but I lost my side view where there's the speaker when somebody's speaking disappeared. That's so annoying. Okay, we can just go forward, whatever. You done with this topic? Move on to the next one.
Sure.
That's a real short one from Apple. How to start up from macOS recovery. 3 minutes. Go.
Mac OS Recovery is the built-in recovery system of your Mac, with utilities to reinstall Mac OS, repair or erase your startup disk, restore your data from a time machine backup, and more. We'll show you how to start up in Mac OS Recovery on your Mac with Apple Silicon, and then we'll teach you how using your Intel-based Mac. If you're not sure what type of Mac you have, you can safely try the steps for both. Let's begin by starting up in Mac OS Recovery on your Mac with Apple Silicon, which is any Mac with an M series chip, such as an M1, M2, M3, or M4 chip. First, shut down your Mac. Once it's off, press and hold the power button. Keep holding until Loading Startup Options or the Options icon appears, then release. This might take a moment. Now, click Options, and then click the Continue button that appears below it. You might be prompted to select your user account. If so, click it and click Next. Then enter your Mac login password. Click Continue, and your recovery utilities will appear. You can now perform tasks like reinstalling Mac OS, restoring your Mac from a time machine backup, and more. Now, let's learn how to start up in Mac OS Recovery on your Intel-based Mac, which is any Mac that doesn't have an M series chip. First, shut down your Mac. Once it's off, press and release the power button on your Mac. and immediately press and hold Command-R on your keyboard. Keep holding these keys until the Apple logo or a spinning globe appears. Then release. This could take a moment. If the spinning globe appears, you might need to complete additional steps, like selecting a Wi-Fi network. Next, you might be prompted to select your user account. If so, click it and click Next. Then enter your Mac login password and click Continue. Once the recovery utilities appear, you can perform tasks like reinstalling macOS, restoring your Mac from a time machine backup, and more. And that's how to start up in recovery on your Mac. Some sequences in this video were shortened.
Can't see you guys. Something's going on weird.
So I have a question about the videos we're showing today. So
Uh-huh.
this what you're playing seems to have no relation to the video list you posted.
Yes, they are. There just might be in a different order. It's not. The PDF I put in the chat is not this.
No, that's the way it started with how to customize iPad Control Center, how to add widgets.
Oh God, I put the wrong one. I'm sorry.
It's dated correctly. It's dated today.
I don't know what happened. I'll find it. I'll find it when put it up. It might be on the BBS. Might have the right one. Go look there.
Okay, because I was looking forward to these
Go
iPads.
see if you can find the right one on the BBS. Within the meeting, I posted comments, questions about recovery. Whoops, go back. Okay, so this is weird. Now, do you guys see your gallery now instead of Keynote with the? This is weird.
We
Keynote,
see your desktop.
yeah, this is really weird.
Well, it was the same to me. I'm on two display mode in Zoom, so I'm seeing that it's exactly
So
same
that's
as
full
usual.
screen. That should be Keynote full screen, right?
Yeah, without
I'm
gallery.
seeing the Keynote full screen on one screen and one window in speaker view, and I'm
Oh.
seeing the gallery in the gallery view.
Yeah, I don't see the gallery, but that's okay. I'll just live without it, as long as you guys can see the Keynote. Anything else? Want to move on to the next one? Comments, questions?
I have a question on when the first time I ever saw recovery ever used was when you used it on my computer for me. When or why do you use recovery?
When something isn't right, it won't start up.
Okay.
You need to you can, like the things you can do, or you want to erase the drive on the newer machines, you can erase external drives, reinstall the OS, it'll download it from the internet. You can recover from Time Machine. If you can't start up, you can do things in there that you can't do if you can't get into your machine to repair it.
Now, is that also a way you mentioned that can you erase a disk on or a hard drive on a computer that you're going to be giving away?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, in the modern OSs, you can do that right in the system settings, just like you can on an iPhone. It says erase all, I forget what the wording is, but erase all settings and data, and it put the OS back to factory restart.
Reset. Okay.
But that's only on the newer OSs.
So okay.
John, did you say something about erasing external disks this way?
Well, you can erase an external disk with disk utility. You don't need to go into recovery, but
Right,
you can.
that's what I was wondering.
But you can get to disk utility in recovery.
Right.
Okay.
And they didn't cover that in this short video, but I use that a lot.
Oh, when I sell a machine on eBay, I've actually boot off another disk, which you could boot into recovery, and you erase the disk so it's blank. and then you reinstall the OS, and then when it starts up, it's like you bought it from the store. It says welcome, there's nothing on it. You have to create an account and start from scratch. So when they get the machine, it's like brand new from the store. It's ready to go.
You can also start up recovery from the internet and
Right.
not need anything on your hard drive at all.
That's really slow.
It's
Depending
slow,
on your
but
depending on your internet, it could be really slow.
right. But sometimes you want to wipe the boot disk totally, and that's how to do it.
That's what I usually do. I usually boot off another drive with the same OS that I'm going to install, wipe the disk. If it's an older machine, you can do secure erase and write ones and zeros over it. You can't do that to SSD drives. And then install, and then you really know that there's no way they can recover your stuff.
Right.
That's my preferred way. But you got to have an external drive with a, that you can boot off of to do that. Now, I'm always concerned if you boot in recovery and erase the drive, they don't write ones and zeros over it. They just erase it, and it's blank, and then you say reinstall the OS, and it downloads it from the internet. It comes up like a new machine, but they didn't overwrite it. But you can't overwrite an SSD anyway. What I've been doing with the SSD machines is, if there's anything on it, I turn on encryption, let it encrypt the drive, then you erase it. There's no way they can recover it. That's the only way you can be secure with it. Your data is not recoverable. It's tricky.
Well, what about, would that also securely erase the parts of the drive that outside of where the encrypted data is?
Yeah, so you can select the root level of the drive and erase and securely erase it. Yes.
So does that encrypt even the
Oh no, if you're just using the computer and you want to turn on encryption before you erase it, it encrypts your data. It's there's no way they can recover it. Then you can erase it. You don't have to securely write ones and zeros because whatever's there is encrypted. And with a password, they can't get into it, even if they try.
on an SSD, when it's erased, does it need the same security precautions as a spinning drive? Is there actually ones and zeros still written on it, and they just remove the index, or is it actually reset?
Well, if you just erase it, it goes really fast. So I'm presume that in theory it could be recovered. If you're worried about it, I would encrypt the SSD and before you erase it. The spinning drive, all the ones that come to the office that we get rid of, I put them in a dock and then securely erase them. And then when they're done, I just throw them in the e-waste. They're still, or if they pass drive DX and it says the SATA's okay and they're, of any size, there's a box of them. Not that we're ever going to use them, but the little ones are useful. 2.5-inch ones, if they pass and they're erased, you can reuse them as time machine drives.
So if you're going to e-waste drives, because I have a pile of USB 2 drives I'm never going to use again, wouldn't it be sufficient to just smash the connectors under the assumption that nobody's going to bother?
Take it outside on the sidewalk on a piece of concrete and a big hammer and beat on the top a little bit. It'll break the platters inside. And usually what I do is it's pretty easy to just take the circuit board off the back of the drive with like 6 little screws and then break it in half. So the circuit board that exists to access the data then no longer exists. So there's no way they can get into it. And then hit it with a hammer. You can do that in 5 minutes. You can be done.
I tried using my regular handheld Makita drill to drill a hole in it.
No, you don't need a drill.
I couldn't even put a mar on the case.
No, the platters are right. You can see where the platters are. They're big circular platters on one end, and if you hit them with a hammer, and when it's on concrete and puts a dent in it, the platters are right under that metal case, and it'll go down and it'll break the glass, and then it's history. But you don't even have to do that, really. You take the circuit board off and break it. There's no way to access it. There's no.
Well, if somebody gets a hold of that and a similar circuit breaker board in there, I mean, reinstall the board.
Or you can continue to take it apart with all the screws and take the
Yeah,
top off them. Then the platters are right there.
right
Be
there.
careful, don't when you break them, they're glass. Put it in a
Okay.
freezer bag and then hit it with a hammer and it'll shatter. Don't break them. They're shards of glass will go everywhere.
Okay,
Yeah, it's a real mess.
I got a
Hit
question.
Hit them with a hammer when it's still together so it stays inside.
That
Otherwise,
works. That's what I've been
you
doing
got
lately.
problems.
It takes too long to. I used to take. Well, if they zero out, if you put them in a dock or a case and you zero them, then it's okay. You can just throw them away if you
yeah,
don't want them.
well,
That's good, or you can reuse them. As long as they pass a SATA test with something like Drive DX or some utility that checks the SATA. The modern drives have diagnostics. They tell you if there's any errors and what the errors are, if it's in pre-fail mode because it's been running for X amount of hours. But if it passes all the tests and it says it's 100%, it's pretty much good to go.
Quick question. John, you kept saying that's where the platters are. Are you talking about the actual discs that are like
round things.
yeah, they look like discs that
Yeah,
are
they are.
okay, is that the one we're talking about? Because yeah, those will matter.
Okay, hold
Hi,
on
this
a
is
second.
Gary with MacPost.com.
Oh my God. No, stop, Gary.
Dang, you listened.
Okay. Can you see me?
Yes.
Yes, you got an earbud in your ear.
Okay. Let me grab a small drive here.
Oh no, you're gonna show.
A 2.5-inch drive. Grab one of those.
He's picking it off the bush.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
can you
growing on
see this?
trees.
Can you see this?
Yes.
Yes.
On the back, see the dot?
Yeah.
That's the center of the spinning drive. This is a 2.5-inch circular glass platter in here. That side's strong, and there's a circuit board. You see the circuit board on the back?
The blue
green
thing.
circuit board, and
Oh,
there's
sure.
a connector. There's like 6 screws on all of them. Those Jewelers Phillips, sometimes they're Torx. You take those off, the fiberglass board, if you bend it, it breaks. There's no way to access it without the specific card that reads the drive.
Right.
That'll kill it. Or if on this side, this is a thin metal case, very thin, so the drive isn't very thick. You put this down on a piece of concrete and whack this with a hammer, it'll go down and hit the glass and break it, and you're done.
No.
That's all you really need to do is break the platter, and nobody can get to it.
If it's glass.
They're all glass.
Oh,
Unless you have one from 20 years ago.
oh, okay. I beg to differ because I had a student from the other class give me a drive to destroy, and I could bend it. It was metal. I had a hard
Well, it
time.
must have been really old.
It was really old, and I took a drill press out there and held it with a vice grip and put holes in it, but I couldn't break that son of a gun for nothing.
If you go take it over to Rapid Recycle in Pacheco,
Well, that's where it ended up, but it
well,
had
they have a
60
drill
holes.
press up on the counter.
Yes, they
So
do.
you want to know that they'll put it there, and you can watch them drill press it, so you
Yeah.
know it's done.
Okay.
I have a drill press. I did it at home, but yeah.
Yeah,
Can you bring in a pile of discs and watch them drill them all? Will they do it?
I don't know. I just have a box at the office. I throw them. There's about a dozen of them in there right now. I've been checking old drives them around, and they are not 100% perfect SATA test, and then I get rid of them. There's plenty of more good ones. And Chris, I remember this. Chris, their president for a while, was in the office one day, taking a drive apart or whatever to get rid of it. And he goes, "Oh yeah, you just bend the drive." And I said, "Oh, Chris, don't do that." Bam!
Oh,
Glass
Jesus.
just shattered all over the office.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
And as long as you don't walk in there barefoot, you're pretty good, but still, Jiminy Christmas.
No. Or you don't even have to, if you take them out, you can just take a screwdriver and scratch them a few times. That'll get it.
That
Once it's
works
open,
just
theory,
fine.
once you open the drive, it's toast.
It appears that Judy got mad and left, that we were not moving on with the videos.
All
Oh,
Judy,
right, I gotta go back to where I was and share again. So
Put a comment in the chat to get back to it, and I see
that's the password leak. We did that one. That's the one we just did, right? And so now we're on to that. Now we should be in this one. So now we'll go big. We'll play. Okay, ready for this one?
well,
yes.
Okay.
Kenji, you going to contact Judy and tell her that we're back on track?
I don't have her contact.
Here we go. Come on, Gary.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Let me show you a better option than print, save as PDF on your Mac.
I thought we saw this one.
Now, experienced Mac users already know that you can create a PDF from almost anything as long as you can print from the app. If you go to File and then Print, you're going to see a PDF button at the bottom of the print dialog. And this should appear in almost all apps, even ones that don't have any other way to export as a PDF. So it's really handy to know. You can click on the little down arrow next to the word PDF to bring up a menu, and there is Save as PDF. But you can also just click on the main part of the button here, and then it allows you to save as a PDF. But there's a better option. Right above Save as PDF is the option Open in Preview. Now, if your goal is to save a PDF, you may not think to choose this, but it actually gives you way more flexibility than just saving the file. So first, it allows you to preview the PDF before it's ever saved. So if I select this, you see it's going to open Preview up.
Oops. Oops, what happened? Did we lose John?
Apparently.
Yes.
John.
Did you say we already saw this?
I don't know, it froze.
No, I don't think we saw this one.
I don't think either. It's just more of this. Okay, I'll go back.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Let me show you a better option than print.
There
See
we
a
are.
PDF button at the bottom of the print dialog. And this should appear in almost all apps, even ones that don't have any other way to export as a PDF. So it's really handy to know. You can click on the little down arrow next to the word PDF to bring up a menu, and there is Save as PDF. But you can also just click on the main part of the button here, and then it allows you to save as a PDF. But there's a better option. Right above Save as PDF is the option Open in Preview. Now, if your goal is to save a PDF, you may not think to choose this, but it actually gives you way more flexibility than just saving the file. So first, it allows you to preview the PDF before it's ever saved. So if I select this, you see it's going to open Preview up, and then it creates the PDF, and I can view it here. I can go through the thumbnails. If you don't see them, you can select thumbnails here, and you can see the PDF. You can zoom in to see the quality and check through everything. So this could save you from saving a PDF, having to find it, open it up, check it, delete it if it's not right, and try again. You can simply use this method, and if something's not quite right, you can just click the red button or use Command W to close and go back to your document here, change something, and then once again go to Print and then Open in Preview to check it out before saving it. Now, this also works great if your goal is to print. If your goal is to print, you can use Open in Preview first, check out the document, and then continue on inside of Preview using File, Print to then print from Preview. In fact, you may find some apps give you fewer options when printing directly from the app, and you get more when you open in Preview first and then print from the Preview app. Another thing you could do is check the size before you save the PDF. So for instance, if I've got a document with lots of images in it, I can go to File, Print, or Command P, and then Open in Preview. And without having to have created a file, I can click the Info button right here, and under the first tab, I can see the file size. So if my goal is to get under some file size here, I can check the file size of the PDF, close the preview right there, and then go back and perhaps import smaller versions of the images or change other elements and try again until I get something small enough. If you find these videos valuable, consider joining the more than 2,000 others that support MacMost at Patreon. You get exclusive content, course discounts, and more. You can read about it at macmost.com/Patreon. Now, if your goal really is to have a PDF that you save, you still may want to use the open and preview option. And that allows you to check all those things like I said before. But from here, you can save the PDF. This is just a temporary file that's stored in a temporary location. If you close this, the file's gone. So it acts just like you've never created a file. But if you do want to save this, just use File Save or Command S. And then you have the full dialog here where you can choose where to save the file and save it. So there's only one more step from using Save as PDF to open and preview and save as PDF. And that's just to hit Command S. But you get the benefit of being able to preview everything before you save. And keep in mind, you don't need to save right away. If you're not sure if you are going to save the PDF at this point, you can print, you can open and preview. And now this will remain open. You could switch to another app and then back to preview. You could even quit preview and then launch preview again, and you'll see it's still open. So if you need to take a break and get back to things, then preview allows you to basically save later or much later if you want. Note that this is dependent on using the default settings in System Settings. If you go to Desktop and Dock, you've got the options right here for Ask to keep changes when closing documents and close windows when quitting an application. As long as those are both off, you can quit an application like Preview with something opened, even if it hasn't been saved yet, and then resume very easily the next time, and it still hasn't saved the document, but it's still there. Of course, if you have your document in this intermediate state of being opened in Preview but not saved yet, there are a lot of things you can do with it. For instance, you can use the highlighter or the markup tools right here. So, for instance, I can mark this up before I ever saved it as a PDF. I could add, say, some arrows here, and you're going to see this little message saying that the original document, the temporary one, can't be changed. That's fine. You don't care about that because it doesn't matter to you whether you save that original temporary document or this new temporary one. So I can add some markup things here. I can sign a document. I can use the redaction tool, for instance, right here. So if there's something I want to redact, some text here or something, I can do that. And then I can save with Command S to save the PDF. So I can go right from an app I'm working in to a marked up, redacted, signed document without ever having to have saved it in an intermediate state first. You can also save a PDF that only has some of the pages. You could do this by going to print here and then selecting, say, a range or a selection of pages. But you could also just jump right to preview. And then you can go into the sidebar here and say, delete a page just by using the delete key. Or you can select a page or two. I'll use Shift to select two and then Command C to copy and then do new from clipboard to create a document with just those. And then you could save this one, or you could have gone in here and say deleted this page here and then saved. Either way, you can get a document that only has certain pages in it or combine multiple documents this way without ever having to have saved them first. Now, some apps let you export in many different ways. Pages does actually let you export images, but in any app you can use print and then open it in preview. And then once it's in preview, you can go to File, Export, and there are more options than just PDF. So I can export this as a JPEG image. It doesn't handle multiple pages. JPEGs don't do that. So I'm just going to get the first page here. But in a lot of cases, that's all we want. So now I could save this out. And now here in the Finder, you can see I've got this JPEG image. It obeyed that 72 dots per inch that I selected there. So it's pretty pixelated, but I could have increased that if I wanted to. But the result is I end up with a JPEG from my document, which in the case of a lot of apps, you can't export directly to a JPEG. You can also share a document without having to save it first. So if I go to print and then I open in preview, now I have the option here to go to file and then share, or use the share button at the top of the window there. And I can share to mail, messages, notes, freeform, maybe some other things you have installed. So I can send this Pages document as a PDF through preview without ever having to have saved it as a PDF in the first place. There's one more way to export from preview that you can't do from Pages here. If you do want to have a smaller PDF and you've got some really big images in your file, you can save some space usually by going to File, Print, and then use Open in Preview. And at this point, you could go to File and then Export. And here, choose PDF, but choose the Quartz filter, Reduce File Size. And this will export the PDF just like before, except every image will be compressed a little bit more, so the file will be smaller. I'm going to show you one tip here that makes this whole thing so much more useful. You can go to File, Print, or just Command P. Once you're here, you have to click here and choose Open in Preview. But there are two ways to make that faster. One is select Edit Menu instead and set the default action to Open in Preview. So now you can click the PDF button and it performs Open in Preview instead of Save as PDF. A little bit easier. But even easier than that, you can go to System Settings and then to Keyboard and then select Keyboard Shortcuts. Now you want to select App Shortcuts here and click the plus button to add a new shortcut for all applications, and the menu title is Open in Preview. Note very carefully, it's got to be exactly that, including the lowercase I. Also, it won't work. Then you could set the keyboard shortcut to Command P. That's the same as the print command, but it's okay because this will only show up in that special menu. So File, Print is still Command P. I can do that. Once I'm in here, then this special menu will also pick up those system-wide keyboard shortcuts. If I click here, I can see that Open in Preview is now Command P as well. So I can do Command P and without even lifting my finger off the Command key, do a second P and it opens the preview. So now you have a quick way to get a PDF opened but not saved in preview from almost any app. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching.
So what was the one he did just before he showed us that universal key shortcut? He showed us a different special shortcut. Was that only in Pages?
No, not me. What I used to do when people would send a PDF with lots of pictures in it, or I wanted to make a PDF and put a lot of pictures in, the pictures were big and they weren't reduced. That there's an also, I don't think he showed it. I don't think it was the reduce file size, but maybe that's what it was. Like, so it makes the images smaller. It makes the file smaller if you got a lot of pictures. I have to go review that.
Preview? Yeah, it's in preview. Hang on. I do it all the time. Where is it?
Going to make the file smaller or the display smaller?
Well, it makes the
size.
images, it makes the images inside the file smaller, so it makes the whole file smaller.
Okay.
Compresses them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking, sorry, John, under tools, adjust size.
Yeah, I
And
think that's
preview.
right. I think that's right.
Yeah, custom or it'll show you how large it is and you can select or enter something.
I don't like it when people send a bunch of pictures in a PDF, then you got to extract them somehow to get them out to use them. There's some tools to do that. I have one called File Juicer. You throw a PDF on it and it extracts all the embedded images out into a folder, no matter what they are. so you can use them, JPEGs, whatever.
Why would you want to do that?
Well, you can't. You want to put them in the Photos app as individual files, and there somebody sends you a PDF with 10 pictures embedded in the PDF. You can't put that into the Photos app and edit the photos. You got to extract the files, the images out of the PDF.
So you're saying somebody wants to send you, say, pictures of the barbecue, and they send them to you in a PDF?
Yes.
Okay, as opposed, you're not talking about somebody's article that has graphics in it that you want to rip.
You can do that to any PDF file that has embedded graphics. You can drop it on this thing called File Juicer, and it extracts all of the embedded files, no matter what they are, into a folder with their original names. The original ones, how they dropped them in to make the file. GIFs, JPEGs, whatever, PNG files. Okay, we're good? Still can't see you guys, but that's okay. I think we have another short one. Hold on. Yeah, a little shorty.
When you back up your iPhone to iCloud, iCloud takes periodic snapshots of the data on your iPhone, so it's easy to restore to a new device if your old one is replaced, lost, or damaged. By default, iCloud Backup is enabled when you first set up your iPhone and sign in to iCloud. Your iPhone is automatically backed up when it's locked and connected to power and a Wi-Fi network. You can check the status of your iCloud backups in Settings. Tap your name, and then tap iCloud. The dot next to iCloud Backup displays the status of the last backup of this device. If it's green, it means your iPhone has been successfully backed up. But if there is a gray or red dot, it might mean that your backup is turned off, your device is offline, or the last backup failed. This might occur if you don't have enough iCloud storage for your backup. Tap iCloud Backup to check the date of the last backup for your iPhone, to adjust settings, and to view backups of any other devices signed in with the same Apple account. Tap your iPhone to find out details about the size of your backup and which apps are included. Tap the back arrow in the upper left corner to return to the previous screen. If you want to manually back up your iPhone to iCloud, tap Backup Now. And that's how to make sure your iPhone is backed up to iCloud.
Everybody should be backing up to the cloud, right? Unless you don't have enough space and you don't want to pay for the more than 5 gigs.
So I have a question about that. So I do not back up to iCloud. I back up via USB when I connect it to my Mac. But if I do turn on iCloud backup, my photos are already backed up to iCloud, right?
If you have that turned on.
Which I do. And apps aren't backed up, right?
They don't back up the apps because when you restore from a backup, it re-downloads all the apps from the app store.
So it may not take that much space, right?
Because, yeah, well, you already got the photos backed up.
Backs up the app store data.
Right. When you restore, it gets everything back. But when you do it, if you have a lot of apps, each individual app will, it takes a while because you have to re-download everything from the app store. Why would they back up the apps when they already have them in the app store? So yeah, I mean, it's a good idea because it's automatic and you don't have to worry about it. It just happens.
Yeah, I'm giving it a try. I'll see how much room it takes.
Right. It won't take that much room, depending on how much stuff you have.
Because I have room on my iCloud because I recently had to back it up upgrade it from the 99-cent level because I'd run out of room.
Yeah, 99 cents, 5 gig don't cut it. I mean,
So
I
what's
only have,
like
I
50?
have backup my iPad and my iPhone and all my documents, and it's 6 gigs, so I have to go for the 99 cent 50 gig service. Everybody's got to pay the 99 cents.
Well, you know, you
Questions? Move
said
on?
6 gig. That's less than an update. You know, some of these updates are like
I know.
8. So
And also there's a lot of people have a tremendous amount of media in their messages. Everybody sends text messages with videos and photos, and you do sync to iCloud so it goes to all your devices. That can get pretty big, gigabytes.
I wanna add to that. That's why my wife ended up paying
Some people
the
live in
99 cents.
messages, everything message, and they keep them forever.
Right. And there was pictures in there. There was,
Yeah, that's right. It's not a
so
good
that's
way
what.
to, and then people are worried about they're going to lose them. Well, the Messages app is not a good place to store your precious photos. You can't find them. People are upset if they lose them. You really should get the good ones out of there. And you can press on them and say, save photo, and it'll put it in your Photos app and go, you can find them and still. Or if they're ones
But
you're done with, they're just dumb videos like jokes, you can delete the individual videos or photos to save space.
but the 99 cents did the trick. No problem. It's like
Yeah, well, you
we
go
can
from
do this.
5 to 50, it's 10 times the
Yeah.
space. Apple should give you 50 for free. Geez, it's 99 cents. Okay,
Why do so many people prefer text to email?
I don't know, it got to be a thing. I never used to text, and then people start texting me, and now that's how they communicate.
Well, what it is if you're using messages on your Mac, it's basically the same as email. It's really you just type you type.
Baloney.
What's that?
I say baloney. I hate texting. I'd much rather have email.
Me
But
too.
Why?
why is a
So
crooked letter?
It's
you
more
you can
it's
It
more
got to
secure than
be,
email.
it got to be the thing for younger people. That's their default. They just live in there and they got to use, because it's instantaneous. When you get a text, you usually pay attention to it and respond to it. You know,
Exactly.
emails, you get it and they sit around, you don't respond, and you don't answer, you don't even read it because there's a bunch of spam, you know.
but
As
you can
I
sort them. You can save them in folders. You can
Yes, you can
do things.
organize them. Yes, you can. It's
as
And you
I
can do all
understand
that with
it,
text too.
email is less secure than text.
email is not secure at all
That's what I
whatsoever.
said. Text is more secure.
Don't send passwords or credit card numbers in email. It's totally not secure. It goes out in the raw file. Anybody, they can get intercepted on the jumps around computers all over the internet. It gets backed up on all the computers it passes through. It's not secure.
Well, I'm in a bunch of WhatsApp groups, and also a lot of the people I know, since they're in WhatsApp groups, are also use WhatsApp messaging. And so text and WhatsApp are essentially almost the same thing, except WhatsApp groups work much better than text groups um, because you control what groups you're in. And so people get used to that, to being in that paradigm. It's just convenient. And if you're doing, I mean, if I was doing all my messaging on my phone, typing on the phone or voice or reading stuff, that would be a drag. But I'm doing most of that on my computer. And so writing in messages on my Mac is just as easy, data entry easy as, so anyway, that's why it is for me. Personal correspondence almost always in text or WhatsApp messaging, not in email.
This is weird. I don't see it. You guys still see each other in the gallery? Because I don't see you guys at all.
Yes, well,
Okay, no, I won't worry about it. We're almost done. There's one more video we can watch. Wanna go
It's a
for it?
long one.
Yeah.
Haven't we seen this before? Dock
No,
menus?
this is brand new. This is last week.
Okay.
Let's go for it.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Let me show you a very useful feature of macOS that's right in front of you, but a lot of people don't know about. So I'm sure you know about and use the dock all the time. You probably use it to launch apps or maybe switch to an app that's already running, maybe even dragging and dropping files into an icon on the dock to bring that file into an app. But do you use dock menus? Dock menus are maybe something you've encountered every once in a while, but you should be using them actually all the time because they're very useful. So for instance, here I've got a whole bunch of apps with different windows open, and I've got my dock along the bottom of the screen. And of course, to jump to any app, even one that's not currently running, I would just click on one of those icons. But if instead I click and hold for a second, I get a menu. This is called a dock menu, a menu that springs from one of the icons in the dock, and it gives you all sorts of useful things. If you actually click and hold, and as soon as it appears, you release, it will stay there, and then you can move your pointer up to any of these items. You could also click and hold and then move up and then release over an item to activate it. If you don't want that 1 second delay for it to appear, instead hold the control key down to activate it like a context menu. So control and click makes it appear immediately. You could also use right click on a mouse or a 2-finger click on a trackpad with your default mouse and trackpad settings. So 2 fingers on my trackpad brings it right up with no delay. Now this gives you access to a lot of things going on in that app. Right here in this section, you'll see all of the open windows. So even though I can't see any of the windows of Pages right now, they're behind other things, I can see it's got 3 windows open. I can see the title of each one of those windows, and I can select it to jump to that window, like that. It's easy to spot these because it has this little window icon to the left of it. One of the great things about this is that it works even if a window is minimized. So let's minimize this window here, and it's going to jump to the next window in Pages. If I now bring up the dock menu for Pages, I'll see the same 3 windows, and there's a little diamond next to the one that's minimized. I could unminimize it and show it just as easily as I can view the others right from the dock menu. In fact, once you get used to that, you can go to System Settings and then go to Desktop and Dock and turn on Minimize Windows into Application Icon. And once you do that, if you minimize a window, it goes into the app icon there and doesn't take up more space on your dock. And you'll see it in the list here. This is how you would get it back. This happens in a variety of different apps. So for instance, here in Numbers, I can see 2 windows are open there. If I go to Mail here, you can see I've got my main Mail window open and also a new message composition window open. And in Safari here, you can see I've got 2 Safari windows open, and I can jump right to the one I want. But there's also another aspect to this, and that's recent documents. You'll see this in apps like Pages, Numbers, Keynote, and others that use documents. If I bring up the dock menu, you can see right here, these are all my recent documents here, including the 3 I currently have open and others as well. So I can jump right to one of these. It will open it up right from the dock. If you find these videos valuable, consider joining the more than 2,000 others that support MacMost at Patreon. You get exclusive content, course discounts, and more. You can read about it at macmost.com/Patreon. Now I showed you if you minimize a window, it still appears in the dock menu. But if you hide the entire app, like I'll hide Pages here, you can use Command H for that, or you can use the menu here. And now Pages is hidden. The dock menu now behaves differently. You don't see any windows because the entire app is hidden. But you do see recents, which include the windows that are actually open but hidden. So to unhide the entire app and bring a specific window open, you can select that item there in Recents. You also have here the option to hide the app from the dock menu. And when I select that, and then I go back to the dock menu, you can see Hide changes to Show. So you can hide and show an app from the dock. Useful if you prefer using your mouse or trackpad over keyboard shortcuts for that. You also have quit here. So another option for quitting in addition to going to the apps menu. In fact, there's a hidden function here. If you hold the option key down, quit changes to force quit, a way to force quit an app that's misbehaving. Notice that the option key also changes hide to hide others, hide all the other applications, leaving only this one. You also notice show all windows here. Now you may think that that would unminimize all windows or unhide the entire app. What it actually does is it brings up app expose. So now you can see app expose with the 3 open windows here, recent documents here, and you're in app expose mode. So you can even use the tab key to go to the next app. App expose is a whole other subject that I've covered in other videos. You also have other items under options. If you want the app to stay in the dock, even though it's not usually there, you can check keep in dock, and you can also uncheck it here, and then it'll disappear from the dock except for when it's actually running. You can set the app to open up automatically when you log into your account. You can find the application file in the Finder if you want. And if you're using Mission Control to have multiple desktop spaces, you could assign this app to specifically appear on a desktop. You have to have multiple desktop spaces open in order to even see this. So you may not see it until you open up a second desktop space in Mission Control. Now some apps have special commands in the dock menu. For instance, for Pages, you'll see New Document, which is just like choosing File New. And you'll see that for a lot of other apps as well. For instance, here's New Spreadsheet for Numbers. Typically an app needs to be running in order to see these. So Keynote here isn't going to give me a new document option. I will see recent documents here. So I can launch Keynote and open one of these recent documents at the same time. But I have to launch Keynote before I'll see New Presentation. Other apps have other things. For instance, in Mail, I've got Get New Mail, New Viewer Window, and Compose New Message. Music has a ton. You can set some things like repeat and shuffle. You can start playing. If I actually start music playing, you'll see even more here. You can favorite the song. You can show an iTunes store. You can pause, jump to the next track, jump back to the previous track, all from the dock menu without even having to bring the app up. I can have the music app hidden and just playing in the background, and I still have access to these things. Finder also has a lot here. You can jump to one of the most recent folders here, create a new Finder window, new Smart folder. You can start a find, go to folder, the Shift Command G that a lot of us like, connect to a server as well. Settings and Launchpad have lists that appear. If you bring up the dock menu for settings, you'll see all the major sections here, and you can jump right to one. You can also do it for Launchpad in macOS Sequoia and before. It shows all of your apps alphabetically. Launchpad is going away in macOS Tahoe, so maybe we'll get the same list here in the Spotlight item that appears in place of Launchpad. And here are some more tips. If you bring up one of these menus, you can use the keyboard to jump to something. So for instance, the first menu item here that starts with A is one of the recent documents. If I tap A on my keyboard, you can see it jumps right to it. If I tap N, you can see it jumps right to that. And then you could just use return and it will act the same as clicking that menu item. You can use all of this with only the keyboard. The trick is to activate the dock with FN or the globe key on your keyboard and the letter A. And you can see how that activated the Finder item there. And I could use my right and left arrow keys to move around. And then the up arrow key brings up the dock menu. And I can continue to go up and down and then press return at the item that I want. Notice when I use FN or the globe key and A again, it remembers where I left off. So here I am at Pages and I can move over, say, to Numbers. I can also use letters. So for instance, if I tap F, it jumps to Finder. If I tap N, it jumps to Numbers. If I want to get to Notes, I can type NO very quickly together and it will jump to Notes. And you also get dock menus with the items on the right. So say if you've got a folder there, you can control click it, right click, or 2-finger click on that to bring up lots of different options. That's what you get mostly here. With the trash, you can empty the trash or you can open it to see what's inside. But there's one more thing that you could bring up a dock menu for, and it's not obvious. It's this line here, the separator line. You can control click, right click, or two finger click on that, and it brings up a menu with many of the same options you'll find in system settings for the dock. So you can turn hiding on or off, magnification, you can change the position on the screen, you can change how it minimizes, and you can jump to the rest of dock settings from here. And also if you click and drag up or down on the line, it allows you to resize the icons in the dock. So try using the dock for things like jumping to a specific window or opening a recent file in a specific app and see if it improves your workflow. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching.
Man, there's a lot of stuff in there.
So I have a question about, so I have a third-party keyboard, which I am really liking, but the FN key is in the traditional place, above the forward delete key, and it doesn't do anything. Is there a way to make that function key function like a Mac Express expects?
Is this a Mac keyboard with a command and option key to the left of the spacebar?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know.
Not either.
This white crumb catcher keyboard doesn't have an FN.
Oh, wait a minute. What about the setting having to do with function keys? Where you can choose to make the function keys act as normal function keys or not normal function keys.
Yeah, my white crumb catcher has a row of keys above the numbered keys with F keys, dedicated F keys.
Let's see where that is.
When you're setting up a new computer, it sometimes asks to couple with your keyboard, and then you can have it specify what kind of keyboard it's talking to.
Yeah, this MacBook Pro has an FN key on the left, and then a row of half-height keys above the number keys at the top with like volume up and down, brightness up and down, sound up and down with the F numbers on them. So you hold the FN key to click the FM numbers.
Well, this one appears, the FN key is here where it would be on a, on a Windows keyboard, but it seems to work for select. If I hold down the FN key and press one of the top rows.
Excuse me, but shouldn't we save this for Q&A?
Aren't we kind of there?
I don't think
We're
so.
going to stop then. I almost stopped the recording.
Well, he brought up the question. He said FNA to get to.
Wasn't there another video listed?
I think that was the last one, wasn't it? Stand
Well,
by.
the list of videos doesn't have anything to do with what you showed today.
Oh, no, there is one more.
Okay.
This is a brand new one. I think this came out yesterday. You want to watch this?
Yeah, let's do it. Can we see this?
It's already 4:20.
Vote. Yes or no?
No.
Yes.
Yes, let's do it.
What is it?
Yes.
Yeah, let's see it.
Hi,
Okay.
this is Gary with MacMost.com. Are QR codes safe to use? Let's take a look. So today you see QR codes everywhere. You see them in restaurants, you see them in stores, you'll see them in signs around town. They are those little square boxes with black and white dots in them. To use a QR code, you would use the camera app on your iPhone. You would point your iPhone at the QR code, and then you would see a link appear at the bottom. You can tap that, and it will usually go to a web page or sometimes open an app. For instance, here I'll point my iPhone at this QR code, and you could see my website appears underneath. the iPhone recognizes those dots as a URL and will show me the website that I'll go to if I tap that link. Then it will take me there. It'll open up my default browser and go to that web page. If I had to type this out, it would take a little time and it'll be hard not to make a mistake. This is why QR codes are handy. They make it easier to go to a web page without having to type something out. It's important to realize this. The QR code is just a URL or web address. That's all it is. It's like that web address, but in a different language, a language that's easier for a camera to understand as opposed to a human who actually sees the letters. The advantage of a QR code is it actually embeds the link several times in there. It's repeated. So if some of those dots have gotten smudged or they're not visible for some reason, it could still make out what the exact URL is. That's not true if it's a bunch of letters. If a few letters are missing, you probably won't be able to figure out where you're supposed to go. So what are the risks to using a QR code? Well, they are just links. So the risks are essentially the same as using any link, like one that you would type in or one that you would click from one web page or maybe from an email address or text message. Clicking links do have risks. QR codes are no different from that. One thing about QR codes that kind of makes them feel riskier is you can't tell what the link is until you hold your iPhone's camera up, and then you just get the domain name there at the bottom. So QR codes can be misleading. Instead of going to the place that they say they're going to go to, they can go someplace completely different. But it's no different if it was a URL that was shortened or some sort of URL that redirects somewhere that was letters. It being a QR code makes it a little harder to figure out where you're actually going, but doesn't actually increase the danger level of where you could go. So if you're going to use a QR code, how can you stay safe? Well, just like any link that you might get, say in an email message or text, you want to trust the source. If a friend of you sends you a link, tells you to check something out, you trust them, you go to the link. But if you get a piece of junk mail that has a link in it, you don't trust that link. It's the same thing with QR codes. If you go into a restaurant, you sit down at a table and there's a little sign on the table, use this QR code to view our menu. Well, you trust the restaurant. You're actually physically there. You're about to eat there and then pay them afterwards. So there's no reason not to trust that QR code actually goes to the menu. And it's the same thing when you're ready to pay. You would probably hand them your credit card and let them take that away to run the card. At least in the United States, that's still pretty much how it's done. So why wouldn't you trust the QR code that appears on the receipt they may give you? If you find these videos valuable, consider joining the more than 2,000 others that support MacMost at Patreon. You get exclusive content, course discounts, and more. You can read about it at macmost.com/Patreon. Also, consider the stakes. Like if you see a poster for a concert and there's a QR code to get more information, well, it's just going to take you to a page that's just going to show you information like the address for the venue, the time, that kind of thing. Pretty low stakes. You don't expect to go to a page that's going to ask you for personal information, for instance. So if you use the QR code and you go there and that's all it is, well, the stakes aren't really that high. It's perfectly fine. It's the same for menus at restaurants. You expect to go to a page to show you the menu. And if that's all you see, you're fine. You also may use a QR code for tipping, and the stakes are pretty low there as well. For instance, somebody playing music in the park or a shuttle bus driver may show you a QR code that allows you to tip them. These will almost always take you to a payment app like Venmo. When you're paying through Venmo, there's a barrier between you and the recipient. The person showing you the QR code, of course, wants to get the few dollars you're going to send them. If your intention is to send $5 to somebody, why would that person mislead you about where the $5 is going? It's certainly going to them. And it's not like they get any real information about you because there's that app you're using where the money's getting sent through it. It's not like you're logging in to a site they created and giving them your credit card information. Now, when you use a QR code, of course, check the domain name that it's sending you to make sure it makes sense. If it's, say, a parking meter and the domain name is for the name of that parking meter company, then it kind of makes sense. Do be suspicious of QR codes that are used in places where links should be used. For instance, you should never get an email or a text with a QR code. You're in a place where they could just send you a link and you could click or tap on that link. A QR code could only be used in that situation to obfuscate the location where you're going to. And now keep in mind that while QR codes really aren't any more dangerous than a URL, they aren't any safer than a URL either. So you should be just as suspicious of a QR code as any other link. Be on the lookout for scams, especially phishing attacks, where either a link or a QR code sent you to some place where you're not supposed to be, and now you're handing over information. If you got an email asking for payment for something, you would normally not click on the link, but instead go to the website for that company and pay them there. The same thing with a QR code. If you are using an app or you're using a website normally to make payments, don't use the QR code. Just as you wouldn't use a link, go directly to that site or app. Now, there aren't many real-world examples of QR codes being used for scams, but there have been some reports of parking meters where somebody has taken a QR code and pasted it over the official one. So the rest of the sign or sticker looks legit, but when you use the QR code, you actually end up going to a scammer site and giving them information or your payment. But it's easy to get around these, as typically parking lots all use different apps that you may already have or you can easily get in the App Store. The logos are usually shown at the parking lot, and you could just go into the app, and the app will use your GPS location to figure out where you are and let you pay for parking without ever having to scan the code. So be on the lookout for things like that, but they still seem to be very rare, as the scammer has to actually physically do something to run this scam. And it's much easier for them to do scams that are just completely online, where they can be on the other side of the world. So in summary, it's completely okay to use QR codes in situations where you're just looking to get information, like a menu at a restaurant. It's also okay to use them to pay for something, as long as you trust the establishment and the person giving you the QR code, like when you're finished eating at a restaurant. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching.
Alrighty then. Questions, comments? That's the last video.
He didn't mention the QR code scanner that's in the control center, which is more risky than using the camera, because that takes you right to whatever the QR code is pointing to. It never shows you the site it's going to. It's good for things like Apple's own controls and things that show up on the Apple TV. Those are safe, but in general,
I get that a lot, especially when you set up a new Apple TV, you have to log into your accounts or something. They scan this code, takes you
Right.
to a website and where you type in the code on the screen, and then it activates the account.
right.
That works pretty good.
I'm curious, you said the one in the control center isn't as good as the camera, but if I open the one in the control center, it opens the camera.
No, it doesn't.
No,
Looking at it right here.
no.
Well, it uses
takes
the
you there.
camera. It
It
uses
says-
the camera. The difference is it doesn't show you
Right.
the link that you then click on. It just goes straight to it.
Yeah, it doesn't open the camera app where you
Oh.
can see where the URL is actually pointing you to.
Okay, I
before you click
misunderstood
on it.
that. I thought it was it doesn't open the camera. Okay, I'll try it. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Okay,
Nothing
anything
to
else?
apologize for.
I'm going to,
I apologize so rarely. Every once in a while, I throw one in.
And you should apologize.
Yeah.
so that's the last of the videos, and we'll switch to Q&A. We'll end the recording and start a new one. And I'm going to stop the recording. Stop the recording.